My name is Nan Cohen, and I'm with Light Productions, and I'm the producer of Light Television. We at Light Productions bring to you a wide variety of light programming. Currently, we have several new ideas. One of these is seeking out in the Missoula community artists and musicians who elucidate these transformative times.
Hi everybody, I'm Nan, the producer of Light Television, and we're in downtown Missoula, Montana in Caras Park. Today is Saturday, February 15th, Spread Your Peace in America Day. There are events all over the country related to peace, caring for each other, and caring for this planet that we all share. Light Television is about taking care of the planet, about Earth awareness, about being aware of everyone and everything with respect and honoring and caring and love and light. So here with me is
Rick Sherman.
Hi, Rick. It's an honor for me that you have accepted the invitation to be on the show. What are you doing at this event today?
Well, I came with my wife, Feather. We had heard that there was supposed to be an art experience down here for basically painting for peace, so we brought a bunch of art supplies down. She's working on a piece in the background there on the Hopi Prophesy, which is a rather ancient prophecy that is very, very current to our situation in the world right now.
Thank you. I understand that you have a vision, a story to share, and I'm really interested in hearing it again and being able to share it with the people who are going to watch this.
Okay. Considering what we're all going through in the world right now, and it's not just something Americans go through, and it's not just something Iraqis going through, but it's something the whole entire planet is going through. There's tremendous opposition to this war going on, and knowing about things like this prophecy, knowing about revelations, knowing about so many of the potentials of our government's actions right now, I've been really struggling with being depressed. You know, I have 3 kids, and I'm really desperately wanting them to have a future. So I've been struggling with it a bit, and feeling like we're very short on hope. I have a membership to the Y, and I go there on a regular basis, and one day a couple of weeks ago I was spending a half hour on a stationary bicycle, pedaling away, thinking about things, and I closed my eyes and started meditating on the subject. And without really thinking in terms of directing this story that started on my mind, it just started unreeling like I was watching a movie. And it started out as some hackers got into the White House computer system and were able to download some information that illuminated the lies that we've been told that the administration is telling the world. And they were able to bring this information down and shotgun it out over the internet. So just about every computer in the world that was on and was online, including the military computers, suddenly had the truth firing across at them. And in this story that was unreeling in my mind, it happened to be the moment that the war was beginning. The orders were going out. The people had their fingers on the triggers, their fingers on the buttons. The guys are in the airplanes, on the aircraft carriers, ready to launch. Some of them were launching. The soldiers are ready to run. The tanks are ready to roll. And all of a sudden this information started coming out over their computer systems. And at that very moment, out in the desert, this great light being started walking toward them, arms outstretched, light emanating from their palms. The Christians saw Christ coming towards them. The Muslims saw Muhammad. Native American people saw white buffalo calf woman. The Buddhists saw Buddha. So every every religion that had a being that represents their religion was seen by these people radiating light and coming towards them. And the energy emanating from this light being was so intense that when the order was given, those in the front refused. And so they were pulled out of their seats, their tanks, their hands were pulled from the button, their hands were pulled from the triggers, and somebody else was put in their place. And then that person refused. And on down the line. Firing squads were formed to try to reestablish discipline, but the firing squads refused. And what was happening was like there was a surge of energy going through all these soldiers, all these people who were faced with the responsibility of destroying the world and destroying each other, and it was emanating through them like light, just flowing through them. And it emanated out and further until it even was getting to the point where the commanders were calling back the airplanes, refusing to allow them to launch from the ships, pulling back and refusing to launch the cruise missiles. In the end of the vision, military people on both sides walked into the command centers, grabbed the president on both sides, grabbed Bush, grabbed Hussein, and led them away. And then I came out of it. I had been pedaling away for a half hour, and for the first time in months, I felt hope. And now as I look at the internet, and I start getting the news, and even in the papers now, and even on the nightly news, you're starting to see that the mass energy of the world is massing against this war. This weekend, millions of people all over this world, hundreds of thousands at the very least, but I've heard some estimates that are in the millions, of people are standing up and saying no. This has never happened before. This is unprecedented in the history of modern civilization, that the people of the world has stood up and said no. It's somewhat of a fulfillment of the vision I had. Now, if that energy can just pass through to the military people and have them say no, and have the truth be known, maybe we can turn this around. Maybe we can save ourselves. And maybe we can actually make the better world that we're after. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. Hi, my name is Nan.
Hello, my name's Feather Sherman.
Hi, Feather. Welcome to Light Television. It is an honor and a privilege to have you here. I understand that you had a story or a vision, and I'd really like to hear about it. I think it's very important. It will offer a lot of hope to the watchers.
Yeah, I'd be glad to share that with you. When I was 5 years old, and that's 50 years ago now, I'm 55 now, but when I was 5 years old, I had a vision that has guided my life ever since then. And what it was actually a dream, but I remember it like it was yesterday. I dreamt that it was the evening time. I was with my family, and we had just had dinner. And we were all kind of hanging out together in the house. And all of a sudden, each of us, just on our own, felt the urge to walk outside. And no one spoke to each other, but we just all stopped what we were doing, and we walked outside into our backyard. And when we did that, I looked over and I noticed that the neighbors and their kids were out in their backyard, and then the neighbors behind us and the ones on the other side. And I realized that everyone had stopped what they were doing and they were out in their backyard. And then I felt this link up all over the planet. And I could feel the families and children in Africa and China and everywhere all over the planet that this had happened simultaneously. The entire human race had all stopped what they were doing and come outside. And we looked up into the sky, and this was like the evening dusk. And there in the sky was this incredible vision of this being all made out of light. And this being filled 3/4 of the sky, and everybody all saw it at once. And this being was wearing these robes that were moving, and it looked like the northern lights or the aurora borealis, although as a 5-year-old I had never seen that. I never saw that till maybe 5 years after that. And this being was standing with the most beautiful, peaceful look on their face. And they had long hair and these long robes, and their hands were outstretched like this. Like this. And when we all looked up into the sky at this incredible miracle, we knew, everyone on the whole planet knew that we were all one in spirit, and that we were one human race, and that we should treat each other as family. And we also knew that from this point on, that no child could go hungry, and no one could raise a hand against one another, and it was the end to war and the end to poverty and hunger, because the truth was that there was no separation, that we are all one spirit of light. And that was the beginning of world peace. And I've worked towards that my entire life. And I have not given up hope that this will happen in my lifetime, in my children's lifetime.
Feather, thank you for sharing that. I also wonder if you would like to share what you're doing here today?
Yes, I'd be glad to. We had read in the paper that there was going to be a program here in Caras Park on Saturday from noon to 5 of artists working for peace. And I've been working on a project with my master's program called Holding Fast to the Path of Peace. And it involves Native American prophecy and elders that I have worked with. And I have wanted to do a painting of the Hopi Prophesy rock. And I'm working on this project explaining things that I have learned from Grandfather David Menunge and Thomas Minyaka and other Hopi elders that I work with since 1977. So this painting is the inscription that's on the Prophecy Rock. Grandfather David took me to the Prophecy Rock, which was on Second Mesa, just outside of Ho'otville and Kukutzmavi in northern Arizona on the Hopi Reservation. And he took me up there and showed it to me and explained all the insignia and what it all meant. Should I go over by the painting and explain it, or? Sure. No. But this being here is the Great Spirit, and this is Masao, is what the Hopis call him. And this is the life plan. So this is this world, and this represents the life plan. And the Hopis are like a microcosm of the whole human race of the world. And this is the fourth world, from the beginning of the fourth world, traveling through until now, or over thousands of years. This shape here represents the four directions, the four sacred directions. And this rectangle here, this rectangle is the path that the people are traveling on. This half circle here represents World War I. This is a corn plant, and this is World War II. And these are called the first and second earth-shaking events. This path here is the path, the zigzag path of annihilation. And these beings that are above this path are the ones who are called the two-hearteds, or the ones whose heads are not attached to their bodies, because they think with their heads and not with their hearts, so they don't have wisdom, and they act in very selfish and destructive materialistic ways. And you can actually see that they don't have necks. And they're leading the people on this path to annihilation. Now this path, this line here represents a time of great confusion and going to and fro, where people that have been walking along a spiritual path, a simple path of peace, will cross over and start going along the path of annihilation, and others that have been traveling this path will cross and go on the peaceful path. This symbol here represents the third great earth-shaking event, and that is what is coming up for us right now. And we are in the period of time called the Great Purification of the Earth. These are corn plants, and this is could be seen as either the Kokopelli, who is the humpback flute player who carries a seed to the future and represents growth and fertility. Or it could be seen as an old man leaning over with a walking stick. Grandfather David was very elderly when I knew him, and he was blind and always walked with a walking stick ahead of him. Also, the traditional Hopi plant their corn by the men going ahead with a planting stick and poking a hole a full 12 inches deep in the desert. And then the women go behind and put the seeds in the ground for it to grow. But grandfather, the prophecies of the Hopi are very complex, but the part that I would like to talk about is that grandfather explained to me, he took me to this rock and explained it all to me, and he said that there are three ways the great purification can happen, and one is that enough people in the world will realize the importance of living in balance with the earth and having respect for the earth and all creatures and living plants and one another, and to live in peace. And that in that way the great purification would happen in a very simple and gentle way. And I believe that time has passed. The second way the great purification would take place would be that there would be many changes starting to happen on the earth, changes in the weather and changes in the temperature, things such as global warming and acid rain, and the seas would turn black from the oil spills, and there would be a fire in the sky that would not be able to be put out, which could have been when the Kuwaiti oil fields were burning during the first Gulf War. There would be many, many animals who would become extinct, and the seasons would be severely disrupted, and there would be tidal waves and earthquakes, and a lot of things people would start noticing that things were changing on the planet. And at that point, enough people would start trying to live in balance with the earth and with one another in a peaceful way that there would be some destruction and some suffering, but it would be able to be brought back into balance. And the third and final way would be that there would be such great disruption that there would be complete destruction and annihilation of all life on Earth, and that everything would be wiped out, and it would probably be a combination of ecological disaster and nuclear holocaust. But that there would be one or two peaceful people who would survive all of that to be seed for the human race into the next and the fifth world. So that's what the grandfather told me about the prophecy. And this is the third great earth-shaking event right here, and we're right here. And we still have the choice, but the time is really of the essence right now, whether we are going to be choosing the second or the third way of this great purification. And the name Hopi means peaceful people, and grandfather used to tell me that it's no coincidence that Hopi and hippie sound so much alike. They both mean peaceful people. And another prayer that grandfather had that I loved to hear him say was, he would always say when I would go to his home that all I pray is for all the children everywhere to drink the sweet milk of the Mother Earth. And that's how he lived his life. And people came to him from all over the world, came to his doorstep, including the Dalai Lama, to speak about peace and to work towards that. And he dedicated his 104 years of his life for peace. And I learned so much from him. So that's why I wanted to do this painting, and I want to share it with people. This actual prophecy rock has, about 3 years ago, was vandalized and destroyed, and the pictographs that are shown in this painting here are no longer visible on the rock. It looks like someone took sledgehammers to it and just smashed it to smithereens. But it had been on that spot for hundreds and hundreds, perhaps even thousands of years up to that point. And the Dalai Lama. This is a photograph of Grandfather David, Thomas Banyaka, Earl Peya, and the Dalai Lama. And this was, I think, from about 1987 when they met, and it fulfilled both Tibetan and Hopi prophecies that they would meet together. And the traditional Buddhists have also been praying for peace and trying to hold the world in balance through their prayers and their ceremonies, just as the Hopi have, but on opposite sides of the world. So it was in their prophecies that they would meet like that. Okay, this is a scratchboard drawing I did, 10 years ago or so for the cover of the Independent. And this shows the earth with 3 eagle feathers hanging from it. And this is a prayer for the Mother Earth for balance in spirit, mind, and body. So this is the type of prayers that I've been doing through my artwork and through trying to live in balance myself and raise my kids in a good way. This is a painting of Alice Benally, and she's a Navajo or Dene elder that I have worked with at Big Mountain. And the Dene people have been trying to keep from being relocated. Our government back in 1974 passed a law called the Relocation Act that has forced 10,000 traditional Navajo and Hopi people from their homeland. And this has been blacked out of the media. There are very few people who know that this has happened, but they have been forced off their land in order to make way for Peabody coal and the mining of uranium and coal in the Black Mesa area. And Alice Benally is one of the elders who has been fighting that relocation, and she said, no matter how small I am, I'll fight with my fist if I have to, but I will never leave Big Mountain. And I did this painting of her because I think, she is one of the women that has the knowledge that could help save the planet, but instead is being attempted to be destroyed by our government by trying to relocate her and the other elders. Once I met Grandfather David at the first Rainbow Gathering in 1977, through my relationship with him, I got to meet also the Navajo or Dene elders and spent a lot of time out there herding sheep and helping out and working with the Legal Defense Office and Flagstaff.
You ready? Okay. This, a number of years ago, I read Seven Arrows, the book Seven Arrows, and it talks a lot about the shields and the symbology of the shields for northern plains. And growing up in Montana, I've grown up with the northern plains culture to a certain extent and been really fascinated with it. So I created this, and at the same period of time I'd also read Black Elk Speaks. And this is, I titled this piece, When the Thunderbird Brings the story of the Red Road to the earth. And symbolically, it's about a time, it's basically kind of a Christ consciousness kind of a thing, when the Thunderbird, being representative of God, brings what we'd like to consider the better way, the non-material way. Like what Feather was talking about in the Hopi Prophecy, there's 2 ways we can go, the material way or the spiritual way. This is representing God bringing us the spiritual way.
Okay.
What you?
I wanted to thank you both for being here and for doing the work and play that you're doing. It's of utmost importance. And I wanted to ask you if there's anything else that you would like to share with the folks.
Well, I would just like to say that no matter what happens, don't be afraid of anything. Fear nothing, not even death. Because what we are doing is raising the consciousness of the planet, and that's what our job is. We have to raise the consciousness of the planet so that we can all live in peace for now and evermore. And we all have to do in whatever way we can.
We can do it.
Now, one other thing. It's imperative at this point that we do the research to find out what the truth of the situation in the world is. But at the same time, as we discover what the wrongs are, and we discover which ways are not working, we all need to be looking towards what might be solutions. And there's many, many solutions out there. We could simplify our lives and make our lives better very easily and very quickly, but we'd have to work together.
Light on.